Hello, I'm Katie Harrell from Professor Harrell's Music Theory Source. Today we're going to be learning about clefs as part of Theory Fundamentals 1. Hopefully you're reading the whole page and you can see the examples that I've put at the bottom of the page of digitally produced clefs. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today is clefs. And what they are, what they do, and also how to draw them, because it's very important to have music penmanship as well. So let's go to a real music example first so that you know exactly what I mean by clefs. So this is from an old piano book that I have. And when you first look at a piece of music, the first thing that you'll see are the clefs. So this is a treble clef, and this is a bass clef. And the purpose of clefs is to show where certain pitches are on a staff, because if we didn't have clefs, we wouldn't know what pitches we're playing. So the treble clef is also called the G clef. And what it does is it shows where G above middle C is. So if you see how the middle of the clef, I'm kind of mirroring myself, kind of wraps around the second line above, the second line from the bottom, that's to mark G above middle C. So I'll explain that and clarify that further as we get to drawing these. And the one below it is called the bass clef. And it's also called the F clef, marking the F below middle C. So if you see where where there's the dot, the big bold one, and then the two dots on either side, that's, like I said, that's marking F below middle C. So that's the purpose of those. We call one the treble and the bass mainly for, I believe, for piano reasons. I'm sure that's why they called it that, with the right hand being the treble voices and the left hand being the bass voices. So that's probably why it's called that. I'm sure there's other historical reasons for it too, but to me that makes sense. Okay, so let's work on drawing these. And so yeah, be sure that you have a pencil handy with an eraser. I'm going to be using pen because it'll come up darker and you can see it better. So don't use my example in your actual music classes when you get there. They won't like that very much, especially if you mess up. So just get into the habit of using pencil in general. That's usually what I do. But here we go. So I'm going to try and show you this the best that I possibly can. Alright, so I'm going to move over a little bit. Sorry for the shakiness, but I'm sure you'll be able to see it okay. Alright, so when you're drawing a treble clef, the first thing you want to do is to make a little dot. I'll show this the best that I can. See, so I'm making a little dot right below there. Look pretty clear? And what you're going to do is you're going to draw a line straight up from it, about that height. And then you're going to draw a loop around the line, and so it's going to touch a line there. And then you're going to draw another one that touches it at the bottom, and then one more. So I believe the protocol is for the line to touch, or to have the loop touch this straight line 3 times. So it should look something like that. And of course there's varying degree. Like I have a kind of fat looking treble clef. Like there's also ways to draw it thinner, but the point is to be clear as to exactly what it is, and that it's not something really, really horrible or different looking. Okay, so that's treble clef. Let's move on to the bass clef, or the F clef. So like I said, the F clef is marking the F below middle C. So we're going to draw this nice chunky little dot right there on the staff line that's second from the top. So that's going to be our F below middle C. So now I'm going to just draw a nice svelte loop right down there to the bottom. So just slightly passing the ledger, or excuse me, I keep calling them ledger line, the staff line closest to the bottom. And then we're going to draw 2 dots, one above F and then one below it. So that's how you properly draw the treble and the bass clef. So that's how you do it. Alright, moving on, I have some examples at the bottom of the page that show some digitally produced treble clefs and bass clefs. So hopefully that'll also give you some ideas as to how to draw them. One thing that's really hard even for me to draw are movable C clefs, also known as the alto clef and the tenor clef, because they look like big bees and they're all delicate. So rather than me try to attempt to do a very, very bad alto and bass clef, I'm going to show you some acceptable ways to do it so that you don't feel completely stupid when you have to do them on a test. So here's what I do, and these are some things that my theory teachers have used in the past. I'll show you a couple ways to do it. One of them is to do the B. I'm going to try and get this closer so that everyone can see it. Alright, so what I do is I start with a line, just a plain old boring line right there. Oh, can you see that? Okay, so line. And then we're going to draw another line next to it, and then draw a B. And this explains why it's called, I'm trying to get so I can see, the movable C clef, because this line that is right in the middle is middle C. So that's why it's called the movable C clef, and the reason why it's movable is it can be moved from other staff lines. So this is what's called the alto clef. The purpose of it is for, like, if it's used most often with viola players, since that's most within their range and they don't have to see a bunch of ledger lines, because those can be kind of hard to notate if you're doing hand notation, but that's the purpose of having a movable C clef. And so there's one more you need to know. So that's the alto clef. And the next one is the exact same as the alto clef. Oh, I already messed up. Let me do another one. But you just move it up. See, I'm working down here now because I screwed that one up. Is we're going to move it up just a little bit. And this is called the tenor clef. And see this one right here. Don't pay no attention to that one. We're talking this one. So that's called the tenor clef. And that just means that middle C is second from the top. So that's what that is. Okay. So there's one more way to draw the alto clef and the bass, and the tenor clef, and that's to do it with something that kind of looks like a K. So let me show you what that looks like. I'm just going to draw it right next to it so that you see what it looks like. But here's another way to notate this, is if you do the same thing that you would with the B, but you kind of draw a K. So that's another acceptable handwritten notation, and the same thing for the tenor clef. Just being sure that you're focusing around wherever that point of middle C is. So I think I've gone on enough with clefs. I know I have some other examples at the bottom of the page. So just look at those and keep practicing writing them, and you'll be just fine. Okay, stay tuned for another lesson, and take care.